All right, the bottom of page Kuf Nun Gimel. V'hinei piyulas hamakim netilat tato. The question that is being discussed is to understand the difference in the effect of makim hakloli, of the Tirei law of the higher level before the tzimtzum, and the makim hakloli of the hirtato, the higher level, the lower level of makim hakloli. Both are makim kloli. Makim kloli, by definition, means that it incorporates the entire existence. And this incorporation of the entire existence has a profound effect on the worlds. As we discussed quite extensively, the significance and the effect of there being a makif, an overall principle that encompasses all the content. Yet there are two different levels in that. And the Rebbe says we need to understand the difference in their effect. And it starts off with the lower level. The effect of the makif of hiratato of the lower level of the makif. The hainu, which is bechinas machshava hakduma diyak. This is the bechin of machshava hakduma, of the original thought of Ak. We already discussed this, and we pointed out that the thought, although thought is the highest of the koiches, that of conscious koiches, but it is a functional koich. It recognizes everything by recognizing each individual aspect. It is not a makif in the true sense of the word, that it sees it from a higher perspective. It sees it because it identifies and recognizes what it sees. So the Rebbe says that the hirtato, this is like machshava hakduma diyak. All the upstanding entity, bow before you. And we discussed the term koima, upstanding. The reason something is upstanding is due to the fact that it's reaching up to the source. And the upstanding means it has a complete form, like you say, tziyur koima diyak, tziyur koima, a complete tziyur, a complete form, from top to bottom, with all the intervening elements identifiable individually, like the head and the hand and the foot and the body and so forth. And then there is that which is recognized that there is a makif, an overall reality that encompasses all of this. And that's why it bows in front of you. Bowing means that it recognizes this higher element, even though it itself is an alor madrege, it's a machshava, where it recognizes only things which touch it. And yet, it bows before you. Where does it get this idea of bowing before you? So this is what he explains, that this bechin of akif, or the ma'akadri, even though it consists of many details, there is a principle that encompasses and represents all of these details. As we discussed in the emotion of the human being also consists of all 613 different parts but all of the parts succumbs also and subscribe to the principle of this being a human being. This is a makif. This is a super recognition from all the details. Okay, the third line on this bottom section. Ak is several makif closing status. It surrounds the entire structure. As we explained, that the entire structure represents this autumn kadmon. Just as in a human being, you could say, that all his kochas and all his functions are encompassed in the principle of being a human being, which is a superior presence to all the things in the world. Again, the third line. This beetle, that the tzir koima, that the entire structure of the ak represents, and this is bottle, the fonachot ishtachat, it recognizes the divine presence, and it bows in front of it. In this beetle, kol hanivroim, all the creatures, entire creation, mizbat limbe'emes, legabe in soy bottle, are truly bottle, truly recognize their own total insignificance and non-entities. Be'emes means mizbat limbe'emes. Be'emes means not a feigned beetle. It's bottled because you are greater than I. It's a beetle of that permeates the entire Metzius, the entire being. It's a cognizance of this, of the AYIN Soib, as the only reality. They don't know AYIN Soib by recognizing their own Metzius, and therefore from this they come to know AYIN Soib. They know AYIN Soib directly. How did they get to know to that? This is because of the makif of ak that influences all the creatures within it. The k'moi shebechinas ak, the bottom line. The k'moi shebechinas ak, because just as at the bechina of ak itself, odom, the odom element in this general structure. The yoyisei b'chinas kirub in soybor, because that is in a close recognition of AYIN Soib. Because that is what Odom Kadmon is, as we said before, that it's upstanding in the chart because it's looking up to the source, it's looking up to that which is above its own Metzius. That's why it's upstanding. Therefore, Ak is b'chinas kirub AYIN Soib. It, by its own definition, its own cognizance of what the reality is kirub AYIN Soib. It has the aim and kirub AYIN Soib. What does kirub AYIN Soib means? Mean, as we said, the only thing that really impresses it, that interests it, is this AYIN Soib. Coming back to the human being. The human being is this phenomenal creature, creation, divine creation. What is really giving the human being, so to speak, the inspiration and the impetus to pursue his life and develop it? It is the recognition of the godly reality that he stands for, that he represents. He can have a big world. This is where the world makes misunderstanding or complete error. You think, oh, you have a big world, let's enjoy the world. That does not subscribe to the human interest. As much as you get him out in the world, the more you get him out in the world, the more turned off he is. His union is the oil soil, is that which is higher than world, the source of the world, the principle behind the world. That's what the human being is focused on. And this, when he recognizes that, this is what inspires him in his life. And this is what you bring down from Machshava Duma the Ak. Lamailo, there is also that madriga called Odom Kadmon. The initial Odom that precedes and brings about the entire Seder Hishtalshelus, the entire development of Hishtalshelus, all the worlds. And what is the initial inspiration of this Machshava Duma the Ak is its closeness to Ein Sof. This is what inspires it. Baruch atah Amen. I remember one time we were discussing here. And we all came to recognize the following very simple experience and the significance of it. When a person wakes up in the morning and he opens his eyes and he looks out, and when he looks out, he observes, he sees immediately to the end of the horizon, to the end of existence, of the world. There's absolutely nothing stopping his view. Therefore, he already has the impression of the reality of what there is to see. It's very real, it goes to no end. And then, okay, we have to understand the sight is an extremely effective means, that it brings the world to the person. And yet, sight is also very elusive. When you see things, you see them, but they remain completely outside of you. You don't touch them, you don't feel them, you don't experience them. They remain in their own abode. And yet it has a tremendous effect. Why is it so effective if you don't come in contact with it? And we all know, what we said many times, sight has a much more profound effect on a person, and it convinces a person about the existence of all things around him much more than touch. How come? Touch is a personal experience. And the answer is because everything that person sees is based on his initial sighting of the entire reality. So therefore, whenever he sees, he says, "Oh yeah, this is real. It is part of the reality of the reality that I've seen all the way out. That which sight tells me." So this little cup that I'm seeing here, yes, it's very real. It's the same experience as seeing the end of the horizon. That's what sight is. And this is what he says here. Ak knows only of Ein Sof. Everything within the Ak, the whole koimo, the whole tzir koimo, the whole structure that Ak encompasses and incorporates, is a derivative, and it's focused on this koimo, this lefonecha, this Ein Sof that Ak, that the principle of Ak represents. This is what we said in the beginning of this year. A human being cannot possibly be satisfied, cannot possibly be assuaged by having a worldly experience. You have such a big world. The more he gets involved in, the more turned off he is. Because a human being is upstanding. Why is he upstanding? Because he is looking for that which is higher than world, the source of world. World is obstructing the view that he is longing for. Just as sight is the physical illustration of Chokhmah, he is looking to see the end, the infinite end. The fact is, a human being never sees the end. He sees as far as his eye can see. This is what gives him the sense of infinity, because nothing stops. He sees as far as his eye can see. There is absolutely no obstruction, no limit. Okay. Being that Ak is, the bottom line, is between the Kiruv and Inside. Is in a sense of Kiruv and Inside, because that is what Ak is subscribing to. This is what Ak appreciates. Lahabdul, this is just like the human being. What does he really appreciate? Not the things that are touchable and in front of him, but the fact that there is this infinite view of the horizon.
Why Lahavdil?
Because a human being, we're talking about human being, and Kedusha and Soif, of course. So.
I thought, okay, I'm hearing Adam Kadmon as sort of primal man, the real image of a human being.
This is this is a motion for human being.
Oh.
This is a likus. A human being is a motion for that. That's Adam, American will say no.
Again, Adam Kadmon is a likus, and the human being is a derivative.
That's right. There's a creation in likeness of Adam Kadmon. But American will say no.
Okay.
It's a creation in the world. This is why we have, in human being, we have misholim for all things that we talk in Chassidus. They are valid misholim, complete in different environment, but they're valid misholim.
Mm. Is it fair to think of Adam Arishon in Bereshis as Adam Kadmon or no?
No. Adam Kadmon, this is before the creation of the world.
Mm.
This is still in Elokut, and it says, Adam Kadmon is not only Ein Sof.
Rob, it's not
Huh?
Achre L'Tzimtzum? Adam Kadmon, I thought, was Achre L'Tzimtzum.
After the Tzimtzum, yes, but this is the Makif Shah after the Tzimtzum.
Before the creation of the world.
Before the creation of the world. That's what we said, that there is two Makifim. There's the material and here at all.
Okay.
And he has feet, but they don't touch the world.
Oh.
They touch the world,
Oh.
but they're not supported by the world.
Right. They're attached to the
They're
supernal.
floating,
They're attached to the supernal.
elsewhere.
Okay.
The truth is, I said this is reflected in the human being. Yes, we stand on our feet, but we float as we walk through. We're just floating in some other reality. because that the essence of Adam Kadmon is Kiruv Ein Sof, therefore everything that is contained within Adam Kadmon, that is encompassed and embraced by Adam Kadmon, is also has a sense of bitul to Ein Sof. This is a phenomenal thing. You have to think about it. This is something which is extremely important to us. Beetle is something which is an anomaly. Why should I be portal? I want to be myself. And yet, beetle in the human being is what inspires his life, inspires his activities.
How did Beetle come in here now? This Kiruv
the line before the end, Kol Nivron Misbatli. But Beetle is here called Beetle. Let me discuss Beetle for a moment. It's a very common term in Chassidus, a very important principle. The Gemara says that Talmud Eishin from the rabbi, Talmud who is sitting in a shiur from his rabbi, when he says of Neitva Smoyer, and he's sitting there and his lips are not drooling, then that means he's not a real Talmud. Drooling means that he's completely at the loss of controlling of his own sense of his own koyches. He's totally bottled, he's completely involved in what the rabbi is teaching him. He's completely forget about himself completely. It's just beetle. The significance of this beetle is that this is the way the Talmud absorbs not only what he is being told, but what is behind what is being told, the essence of the Rav. Like we said many times, he said, just I think just yesterday, that Rabbi HaKodesh said, the reason I have some superiority over my colleagues is because I saw Reb Meir. What is seeing Reb Meir to do? I saw Reb Meir, and that connected me in a completely different way than those who couldn't see. This is what beetle. Beetle means I am there just to receive what you're saying, not to process it and to make sense of it. This is how you receive what the Rav is telling you. This is what he says over here. The sheer comedy Ak, or Akos Odom Kadmon, is an Odom that encompasses the entire creation, all the worlds. But Kolan Yivroim misbattling. Again, the line before the rest. Only one is misbattling be'emes l'gaber Yisuf. He misbattling be'emes. What does be'emes mean? As we said before, be'emes means not that he is misbattled and he knows that he is bottled. Be'emes means a complete unification with it. He only knows of it. He becomes part of the Ein Sof, despite the fact that he is a creature, a creation. Okay, in the middle of the last line again, the Kmei shebechinas Ak, because just as the bechina of Ak itself, the Yoyse bechinas Kiruv Ein Sof, because that Ak is in a Kiruv manner to Ein Sof. Again, what does that mean? This means, as we said before, just that the union for Odom is upstanding. The reason he's upstanding is because he relates to that which is higher than his Metzias. Ein Sof. What is the reality of that which I see? Is not what I see here, but of that which sight brings altogether. Let me discuss this for a second. This is so significant. there is a view that the reason I can see this cup is because the cup obstructs my view beyond it, because I cannot see beyond the cup. Therefore, the cup becomes visible to me. This is not the process of sight. This is not representing of sight. It's a physicality aspect of sight. Sight is, I see the cup because I see the cup, because it's real in itself. And I explained how does a cup become real, even though I don't touch it? Because sight itself is real. Why is it real? Because I see it at the end of the horizon, on the end of the existence of the world. All the things that are within the world are only contained, that which substantiates that which I see when I open my eyes and see to the end of the horizon. They're all there because I see them because of the reality that they represent. This is sight. This is why we all know that sight has a much more profound effect and convincing aspect than even touch. I touch it, affection doesn't compare. Because touch convinces me on my lower level, on the worldly level. Sight tells me the way it is in mitzad Elokus, mitzad the creation. Then I see, oh, God creates it, it cannot be anything more real. The real aspect of the human being, as we said before, and this is what we're talking about in of Ak, the aspect of a human being is to see that which is above world. What does world stand for? Why did the Creator create the world? That's how the human being looks at world. And then it comes to realize the Creator created the world so that the world will recognize the Creator at its level. Recognize the Creator, not create the world. And because that the encompassing element, the makif of world, is called of the Ein Sof, which is why everything within world is also called Ein Sof, also bottle. And we have this simple illustration of this cup. It's an interesting thing. I mentioned many times.
Again, I'm getting lost. I'm getting everything in the world is battle to Ein Sof. So is that the? Everything in the world is mevatel to.
Is bottle to Ein Sof. Why is it bottle? Again, this beetle is be'emes. Be'emes means it permeates his whole mitzvahs.
Okay, and sight was an illustration of this element.
Yeah.
Where everything gives testimony to it being God's reality.
That's right. Because sight is based on sight is like chokhmah.
Fine.
It's the beginning of all knowledge.
Fine. And the fact that the cup does obscure what's behind it, seemingly, we said is an anomaly. That's not real sight. Is that what happened there?
That's right. Uh-huh. This is, okay. Okay, this is very important. I know that. Said before, his feet don't touch the ground. His feet touch the ground, but they don't depend on you. Understand that? This is the same thing. Yes, you see it because it obstructs. You can't see beyond. but this is only that it touches it. It brings it down to the worldly level. This is not the experience of sight per se. This is not what you see, the experience of sight. This is not why it's so real to you, because it abstracts what's behind it. Like we said, sight is so spiritual and so superior, and so refined, so pure, and yet sight is more convincing than touch. Because, let's bring it down to the end, because existence itself needs to be substantiated. Where does the existence come from? In sight, you recognize that there is a creator. Then it becomes real. In touch, you don't realize a creator. You realize the material of this. It doesn't make it real.
The sight is like in the neshama quality. Sight.
Yes. I don't know how you mean it, but clearly sight is.
It's like seeing from one end to the other.
That's right. You see indefinite. So what do you see if it goes indefinite? Within the world, the context, you see nothing. But that's what gives world a substance and reality.
When you said before that we're not just walking, we are
floating.
That's right. So it's like brings association of what you're saying right now. That seeing, you see the cup, but you see what's
the reason you see the cup. The reason the cup is real is because you've seen way beyond. It's one part of the real thing. And this is why it says Ak is b'chinas kiruvei soif. Is b'chinas kiruvei. B'chinas kiruvei again. The b'chinas means that is its essence. It's not just being close there. This is its whole entity, essence. Its whole essence, its whole orientation is the kiruvei is the infinite. This is why it can accept itself because of kiruvei and soif. The human being can live a life in this world because of his sense of elokus. If God forbid he should lose that, he would not be able to subsist, to continue. This is where all depression comes from. And Rahman suicide comes from.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
We learned today that Mizbatlim Lo'ira Sof. It sounds strange to me. Mizbatlim LaShem. What's Mizbatlim to the Oir?
Oir and Soif is Hashem.
But what's it means something, a term, not. He would say Hashem. He said Mizbatlim Lo'ira Sof.
All right. Oir and Soif. This is the Gilui of Hashem. This is how Hashem revealed himself in the creation.